Hello beautiful people and welcome back to Wine Chat. My name is Emma and I am a certified sommelier with a mission to spread wine knowledge and to help you drink better. Now in the past you may have been in a restaurant where you've seen a sommelier or a wine waiter pouring wine into something that looks like a carafe. This is called decanting, and today we are going to get into the chat on why we decant, what we decant and how we decant. Let's chat about it. Decanting is essentially the act of pouring liquids or wine from one container to another, and there are 5 main reasons that we may choose to do this. Now, the first reason that you may choose to decant your wine would be to remove the sediment from the wine and stop it from getting into your glass. Now, sediment is a completely harmless byproduct of winemaking. It can occur during the fermentation process or while the wine is aging in bottle. You'll get a lot more sediment in older wines, especially wines like aged Bordeaux, or wines that come from grapes that are more tannic, such as Nebbiolo and Cabernet Sauvignon. Now, sediment is often made up of things like grape skins, seeds, and crystal tartrates. Winemakers can choose to fine, filter, or cold stabilize their wines to remove these sediments. However, some winemakers may choose to leave them in, believing that it gives the wine more complexity. The second reason is to allow more oxygen into the wine, which will help release compounds that are bound within the bottle. If you have a wine that is tightly wound, tannic, or really young, this will help the wine to open up and become more expressive. The third reason we would decant a wine is to allow any off aromas to blow off. If your wine has aromas of things like rotten egg or struck match, the wine may be what we call overly reductive. Now, this is a wine that has been produced or stored without the presence of oxygen. These aromas are caused by hydrogen sulfide. Although these aromas, especially the struck match, may be desirable in some wines, allowing the sulfur to evaporate will allow the fruit and floral notes to really become expressive in the wine. Reason number 4 is temperature control. If you have a bottle of wine that is too cold, decanting it will help bring it up to room temperature pretty much quicker than anything. Also, if your bottle is not cold enough, put it into a decanter, which often has thinner glass than the glass of a wine bottle, and put it into an ice bucket, and it will chill down a lot quicker. And reason number 5 why we would decant a bottle of wine is that decanting brings an air of luxury, sophistication, and makes you think that you're about to drink a really special bottle of wine. When done correctly, decanting a bottle of wine can elevate even the most average bottle. But what wines should we decant? Well, pretty much any wine goes. Red, fortified, sparkling wines, and white wines. Yes, you heard that right. Even white wines and sparkling wines can be decanted too. In terms of red wines that I would decant, I honestly would decant most red wines, especially wines that come from Bordeaux, from the Rhone Valley, Napa Cabs, Rioja, Nebbiolo-based wines such as Barolo and Barbaresco, Australian Shiraz. I mean, the list is endless. With red wines, the only ones that I'm a little careful with are wines that come from thin-skinned grapes, such as Pinot Noir and Grenache. Now, these are wines that can oxidize really easily, so giving them a burst of oxygen through decanting may not be right for that wine. Now, as a rule of thumb, I always try the wine before decanting it. This is because if the wine is tasting a little thin and quite delicate, perhaps decanting it is only going to make it die a little bit quicker. Also, if the wine is tasting a little oxidized and has little freshness left, decanting it may actually take it the wrong way and the wine will become more oxidized and lose all its freshness. For white wines, I'll often decant white Burgundies and Chardonnay from all over the world, as I find it helps it to open up and become a little bit more round on the palate. Wines like Riesling and Grüne Veltliner can sometimes be a little bit tight, And decanting it helps them really to flourish and become much more expressive. Skin contact white wines also contain some tannins, so decanting them helps to soften the tannins and makes them much more pleasurable to drink. Wines that haven't been cold stabilized contain tartrates most of the time. These are tiny little crystals that coat the bottom of the cork and float around the bottle. Now they're completely harmless, but they're just not the nicest to drink, so decanting the wine will mean you don't get any in your glass. When it comes to decanting sparkling wines and champagne, you may have producers such as Ruinart or Cedric Bouchard who make wines in a much more reductive manner, and decanting can really help the wines by allowing other aromas to come to the forefront. Salos, one of the top grower producers in champagne, actually recommends that all his champagnes be decanted so that when you drink it, you get the full expression of the wine. If you're drinking a younger vintage of a Prestige Cuvée champagne, just know that these are wines that were built for aging, and so the wines will have a slightly higher bottle pressure in them to help maintain the bubbles over years and years and years of aging. So decanting these wines is going to help to soften the bubbles and make them much nicer to drink. And this is the same for any sparkling wines or non-vintage champagnes. If they feel really harsh and aggressive on your palate, try to decant it and it will soften it down a lot more. How do you decant a bottle of wine? Well, first you need a bottle of wine, and luckily I have one right here. I have a bottle of 2019 Cuvée de Glitz from Rhone Valley. It's from a small cooperative. It is a blend of Grenache, Syrah and Carignan. It's cheap, cheerful, fruity, and most importantly, non-filtered. So this means hopefully there'll be a little bit of sediment in the bottle when I show you how to decant. Next, you'll need a decanter. If you don't have one, you can buy them from pretty much anywhere you buy your glassware, even Amazon. If you don't have a decanter, that's okay. You can use something like a jug or a carafe. The decanter I have tonight is one of the Riedel decanters that I have here at home. It's really great for opening up the wines. Then you need a torch or a candle or something to help you see through the bottle, through the wine, to see when the sediment is starting to come up. This is because when you are decanting your bottle of wine, you'll have it like this, and you'll start to see a little bit of cloudiness coming through the wine, and this means that the sediment is coming up here. As a side note, if I'm at work, normally the bottle stays like this, allowing all the sediment to drop down here, and then it will get carried up into the restaurant like this, allowing the sediment to drop down here. However, I'm at home, so my bottle has been standing up for a bit, but normally if you have an old bottle of wine that you're going to be decanting, it's a good idea to let it rest in one position, whether that's on its side or standing up, but preferably on its side for at least a day or so to allow the sediment to all sink to the bottom and rest. Makes it a lot easier to separate it out from the wine. Now, unfortunately, the wine didn't really throw any sediment, but since it is so young, I just left it in the decanter for about half an hour to see what would happen. And when I first opened it, it was just really fruity. And now you have like aromas of a little bit of spice, a little bit of florality starting to develop. So you can see how even with an 11-pound bottle of wine, leaving it in a decanter for even half an hour starts to really open it up and show more complexity and layers. It is such a cool thing to see. Anyway team, that is all from me today. I hope you've enjoyed the chat on to decant or not decant. Let me know below in the comments, what's your favorite wine to be decanted and what wines don't you think should be decanted? I would love to hear your thoughts. Remember to subscribe for more wine education and like this video if you've enjoyed it. Until next time team, remember, drink better, be better.